Señores and señoras, soy un HR Funk coming live vivo in Morelia, Michoacan, Mexico. And as you can tell, I'm butchering the language. So for any of you who didn't get that, I am HR Funk. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon. And I am in Morelia in the state of Michoacan, Mexico, or Mexico. And my family and I are vacationing here, and it's been a wonderful trip so far. And I thought I could share some of our adventures with you and take a few minutes to fire up the computer, or it's actually my iPad for a live stream. And a couple of things here at the get-go. I am operating on my iPad, and the comments come up. I just got one that says, "Good afternoon" from Christopher. Good afternoon to you, Christopher. But the comments and the questions come up on my iPad, and they're only there for a few seconds, and then they fade away, so I can't see them anymore. So if you would try to keep the questions and comments to the fewest words possible, it'll make it easier for me to read them and try to respond to you. And I will also apologize now because I know I am going to miss some of your questions and some of your comments. It's hard enough when I'm actually at my computer and I can read the comments constantly. But when they come up on here, and thanks for the invite, and I'm sorry it faded away before I could see who it came from. You're welcome. Thanks for joining. But it is always a little bit more of a challenge when I'm using my iPad. Now, there is probably going to be some background noise. I'm on the roof of the casa where we are staying, and there's a street that goes by right beside us, and you're probably going to hear some vehicles going back and forth. Nothing I can do about that, so sorry about that if it causes any sort of distractions. So back to the story of our adventures, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what we did, why we're here, and I got a hello from Laredo, hello to you. Also, Hot 8 is here, hello South of the border, hi Hot 8, thanks for joining. And just kind of tell you about some of our adventures. And this all started, actually it started back around Christmas time. To give you a little bit of background, my son's wife has family that live here in Mexico. They have dual citizenship, so they have a home here in Mexico and they have a home back in Ohio. So back around Christmas time, we all got together at my daughter-in-law's family's home in Ohio and started talking about traveling together here to Mexico. And hi from Elaine's Domain, hi ED, glad you joined. And so it started out as kind of a, hey, wouldn't this be fun? And before long, we were making plans, and the trip came together. Art Grote is here. How you doing, Art? Actually, I guess he's talking to Joe. And Tadix Legion 78's here. Glad to see all of you joining. Juan Estrada, thanks for joining, Juan. So we started talking about this, and it progressed very quickly from talking to planning. And the next thing you know, we had a flight booked, and all we had to do was wait for time to come. Now, the nice thing is we're staying with my daughter-in-law's family, as I said, at their home here in Morelia, Michoacan, which is great. I mean, they have been tremendously generous to allow us to stay in their home, so it's not costing us anything for hotel rooms or anything else. Obviously, they live here, they speak the language, they can help us get around. Joe Morgan had been watching the AR-15 restored, and it just faded away. Sorry, Joe. Anyway, we are staying here. We're back to the story. So we were planning our trip, and last weekend we traveled from our home in Ohio to Chicago because we had to catch our flight out of Chicago. Dan Byers shut down the border while you're down there. Don't know if I can do that, especially from Morelia. Morelia is about, I think we're about 4 hours west of Mexico City, so we are well south of the border. Maybe I should have put the extreme south of the border live stream as the title. By the way, I have my official Negro Modelo with me for the live stream. To help keep my voice from fading away, I've developed quite a taste for that stuff since I've been here. I don't think I ever tried a Modelo at home, but the Negro Modelo is really good. I also tried something yesterday called an Indio that's more of an amber lager. It's very good. And I tried another one. I can't think of the name of the other one. I have yet to try Victoria. People say that's a good beer. And I also want to try something called Casablanca just because it shares the name of my favorite movie, or one of my favorite movies. Can't go wrong with Bogey. Cheers from Juan. Thank you, Juan. So we traveled to Chicago last weekend, and we got in, I think it was Saturday night. And my daughter-in-law has family in Chicago as well, so we stayed overnight at her uncle's place, and we had the next day to explore Chicago. Now, I have never been to Chicago before in my life. I've flown into the airports, I've flown over Chicago, but I've never actually been to downtown Chicago. So we took the day and we went downtown and walked out on the Navy Pier. That was very cool, got to see that. Ben Crane is here, thanks for joining, Ben. So we walked out on the Navy Pier and got to see all of that. If you've never been there, the pier itself is kind of like one long mall with all kinds of little shops and restaurants and things like that. It goes way out into Lake Michigan. Walked out to the end of that. It was not a very nice day, but we made the best of it. Josh Twyman is here. Hi, Josh. Walked out there and we got done with that, and we then went just a little ways down the street to the Chicago Field Museum. And finally, after all these years, after seeing the movie The Ghost in the Darkness, I finally got to see the lions at the Chicago Field Museum. And I got a picture of it. Sooner or later, I'll post that on a community post, and you'll get to see the picture of the lions from The Ghost in the Darkness. So that was very cool. So our trip started out great before we even left the United States. So and we ate downtown in Chicago. I cannot remember the name of the restaurant, but it was a great meal. James Wilkinson is here, says hello from the road. Hello, James. Very underrated. That's a great movie. I love The Ghost in the Darkness. And I should probably back up a little bit in the story before I get too far ahead of myself. When I watched the movie The Ghost in the Darkness, I liked it so much that I tracked down the book Managers of Tsavo, which was the book that the movie was based on. And there was some of the movie that was just fictitious. The part of Remington that was played by Kirk Douglas' son, whatever his name is, Michael Douglas, was completely fabricated, completely fictitious. Did you get to see Dylan? Nope, didn't make it there. We had such a small amount of time. I would like to have seen that. I'd like to have seen Al Capone's house. Now, we are going to stop in Chicago on the way back, but I think we're probably going to fly in, spend the night in the hotel, and then leave pretty early to start our way back. But maybe I'll be able to make it back again someday. Thomas Fox, hello to you. So, great time in Chicago, saw the lions, saw the rest of the things in the Field Museum, saw Sue, which is the largest T-Rex skeleton that's ever been found. Got to see that, all the other great things in the Chicago Field Museum. I say all the things, we saw some of them. You really can't see everything there in one day. Saw some mummies, that's always cool. So the next day, we traveled to the airport. We got done in Chicago, we went to the airport that night. We spent the night in a hotel which was right nearby the airport. And this is kind of cool. We were able to leave our car parked at the hotel for a reasonable price. It's like $9 a day or something like that. And take a shuttle to the airport. So didn't have to drive there, didn't have to worry about a vehicle or anything like that. John Kennedy, greetings from St. Louis. Greetings to you, thanks. So we caught the shuttle, took that to the airport. It dumped us off there. We got, did the TSA two-step and all of that. Got through there, waited for our flight. Shockingly, it's only about a 4-hour flight from Chicago to Morelia, Mexico. And again, this is South Central Mexico, so I thought it would take a lot longer than that. And also, we're in the Central Time Zone here, which surprised me. I would think this would be Mountain Time Zone at least, or something farther west, Pacific or whatever. But no, this is Central Time Zone still, so it's only one time zone east from where we are at home. And I'm just really surprised by this. This has got to be the extreme western end of the Central Time Zone, but I digress. So we flew into Morelia, and fortunately, my daughter-in-law was with us. She speaks Spanish like a native, which is tremendous. So, getting through customs and all of that, she was able to help, and getting our rental car tracked down and all of that kind of thing. She has been just absolutely phenomenal. Of course, after we got here, her parents have been as well. Uh, we rented a car at the airport, and this is where the adventure begins, because we were supposed to have a couple of summers in Colima, stay with families, much better off, I agree. We were supposed to have a minivan, which would have been a little easier to negotiate in this area. It's extremely crowded. The streets are more like alleys at home, and the homes are very close together, lots of blind intersections, all that kind of thing. And forgive me if I'm not responding. Ben, I saw your comment there. Forgive me if I'm not responding to you, because I get those comments, they flash up and then they go away. I'm hoping maybe I can go back and watch the live stream again myself later and catch some of the comments, but I apologize. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not trying to be rude, but I just, on my iPad, I get those comments for a few seconds and then they're gone. So anyway, we get to the airport and we're trying to rent a car. We were supposed to have a minivan. No. The minivan we were supposed to have wasn't available. So what do we have? The biggest Chevy Suburban ever manufactured. And this thing is outrageous. It's got 3 rows of seats. It's big, long. It's like driving a doggone school bus. And of course, we had to pay more than we were supposed to pay for the minivan, because that's just the way it is. And there were all kinds of other little fees and not so little fees associated with that. But we got our outrageously big Chevy Suburban. My daughter-in-law's mother and father also met us at the airport. So the one good thing about the gigantic vehicle is everybody fit in there. We had our luggage in there, all that type of thing. And I decided I was going to be the first one to drive in Mexico. As I said, the adventure begins. We took off from the airport and we were coming down a 2-lane, sorta, kinda 2-lane road that basically drove through the country. This was not a highway by any stretch of the imagination. And it's going through all these little villages, and we've got traffic like crazy, and we're behind, old dump trucks that are barely moving. And then just for whatever reason, out of the blue, there are these speed bumps in the middle of nowhere. So you're zooming along at whatever speed you're going, and all of a sudden there's a speed bump. So I had to start to learn to watch for these little white lines on the pavement to warn you that the speed bump is coming up. And of course I missed some of those, and the giant Suburban is bouncing over the gigantic speed bumps, and people in the back are flying around, luggage is flying out the window, all that type of thing. And we finally get into Morelia, where now this is a city that the area, the population of the area here is close to 1 million people. And I think each and every one of those people owns a car, and they were all out driving when we were coming into Morelia. And the only ones who don't own cars are the ones that own motorcycles that go zooming in around through the cars when you're stopped in traffic, or the traffic's not moving very fast, so they're sailing back and forth and everything. It's a little bit like a video game where if you lose, you don't get a redo. But we got into Morelia, drove to downtown Morelia that evening, and when we got there, the next thing I had to do was try to park that Suburban. And there is a public parking area, I'll call it. It's not, I guess it's a parking lot. But the parking lot is off of a very narrow alley. And of course there are cars parked down one side of the very narrow alley, the side that I'm driving on. And we drive on the right-hand side of the road. So I can't get the swing that I need, because the door for the parking lot, and of course the parking lot has a door, because why wouldn't you have a door in a parking lot? The door is very narrow because it's for the little vehicles that every sensible person drives down here, except us. And I'm trying to turn that monster vehicle into the door to get into the parking lot. And even the parking lot attendant's going, no. And of course my family and everyone in the back is going, yeah, you got it. As I sit here, I don't know how I got that vehicle into the parking lot that night. It made it in there. As far as I know, it still has all the paint that it started with. Your Huckleberry. But I got that thing in there, managed to negotiate it into a parking space, and I couldn't slam that thing into park fast enough. Oh my lord. So we got out of there, and at least now we're traveling on foot, which is something that was a little easier. And we walked to downtown Morelia, to the square, and there is a beautiful, beautiful cathedral, which here is called a cathedral, that I believe was built in the 16th century, but I'm not sure. And I read somewhere that Morelia is considered the most Spanish city in Mexico. And it's really a charming downtown area. I really love the old world flavor of the old downtown part of Morelia. There is a large park that's outside the Cathedral, and it is the park forms a square, and the square is then surrounded by shops and restaurants. It's just beautiful. Like I said, I've got more pictures of this stuff. I wish there was a way that I could post them while I'm talking here so you can see this and get an idea of some of the things that I'm describing. You know, there are some people down there that are dressed in traditional clothing, you know, the big, what are they called? Not shawl, but maybe it's a shawl. You know, the white, loose-fitting clothing, the big, you know, kind of white pants and all that, and wooden sandal type things. I know all these have names, and I'm showing my ignorance by not being able to name them right off the top of my head. But we walked to a restaurant there, and it was just absolutely beautiful. We were sitting outside on the sidewalk. We got, you know, wonderful Mexican food while we were there. I got my first Negro Modelo while we were there, or Modelo, I keep pronouncing that wrong. And it was just a wonderful evening. There was a breeze blowing. It was not real, it was cool. It was comfortably cool out there, and just absolutely wonderful. Came back here that evening, spent a little time talking to my daughter-in-law and her family, and crashed at some ridiculous time. I think it was close to midnight when we went to bed that night. And after being up all day and the flight and the drive and all that kind of thing, just I was out, dead, gone. Now, one thing that has not been discovered here is air conditioning. So, fortunately, the evenings are fairly cool, and we've got a ceiling fan going in our room, and that makes it easier to sleep. And I found myself a nice position in the shade as I'm conducting the live stream tonight. Thank you from Cara saying, have a nice day. And I'd probably be able to read these a little bit easier with my reading glasses on. But got up the next day, and then we started to explore. And this has just been tremendous. We went back to downtown Morelia, and there's a mercado, market. I discovered the word mercado means market that we went to. And I have such a tiny, tiny amount of Spanish that I speak. It comes from, you guys are going to laugh at this. Edie used to go to Rosarita Beach as a kid, cool. But the tiny amount of Spanish I speak comes from a course that I took probably close to 20 years ago. And it was a Spanish for law enforcement, or Pancho, that's what I was trying to think of. Thank you, Chris. But I took this Spanish for law enforcement course, and it was just to give police officers the basics for talking to people who spoke Spanish but didn't speak English. You know, cuál es tu nombre, cuál es tu fecha de nacimiento, de quién es este carro, you know, where do you live, what's your name, is this your car, tiene licencia de manejar, do you have a driver's license, those kind of things. And I back then when I took that course, I tried to expand on it. I tried to learn a little bit more, and I can say sometimes enough that people will understand me, and I can usually get my point across. The problem is when they start talking to me. Spanish for Marines, yeah. Cerveza, that's the only Spanish Marines need to know. But when they start talking to me, I get lost very quickly because they speak so quickly. You know, they're speaking fast, and I'm trying to pick up what they're saying. I feel like I've gotten a little bit better as time has gone by during the week, but I'm still horrible. I butcher their beautiful language terribly. So to all of you who actually speak Spanish fluently, let me apologize for my horrible attempts, but I am trying to improve. So we went to the market the next day, had a wonderful time there, and picked up, a few things. I got my hat, my sombrero. Randy Adams is here. Says afternoon. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Um, got that. I got a couple of shirts. This is one of the shirts that I got from the market. Uh-oh, the audio is worse. That might mean that the internet is fading. My internet connection here is not the greatest. So I hope I don't lose you, and there's probably not much I can do to improve the audio. Let me know if it gets better. But Ringo Starr was canceled. Wow, due to COVID. I'm glad you made it, Tom, but that's too bad you missed your concert. A lot of ambient noise. Okay, and as I said, I've got a street out here, and there's traffic going back and forth. So I apologize for that. I can't hear the dogs. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can here. I'll try to speak up and see if that makes any difference. The people across the street are going to wonder why the American guy over here is yelling at the top of his lungs. And I don't know if there's anything I can do to try to improve this. Probably not. I'll try to speak up as best I can. I hope you can hear me. Again, I apologize. But as I said, went to the market, got the sombrero. So that's helping if I get a little bit closer. All right, let me see what I can do here. I'll readjust my iPad and see how this does. My face looks gigantic now. I see it in here. But went to the market, got the shirt, got the hat, got some other odds and ends. If you see ERJG 1954, tell him I got him a bottle of booze. That'll probably make him happy. All right, good. God's service says clear as a bell. Good. So hopefully we're back in business here. Was it really hard to hear from the very beginning? Because obviously I can't hear it, so I don't know. I do have a microphone with me, but the last time I tried to use that with the iPad, it didn't work. There was no volume whatsoever. So I tried to go sans microphone this time around. Let's see, where was I in the story? Got the shirt, got the hat, got the things downtown. Just enjoyed the day in downtown Morelia, and went to some other shops down there. Got some Cuban cigars. And I got to tell you, I smoked my Cuban cigar last night, and my whole life I've been hearing that Cuban cigars are better than any other kind of cigar. And so I got this. It was a Romeo y Julieta, and I understand that's not the absolute top of the line Cuban cigar, but I've had the version of the Romeo y Julieta that we can get in the United States, which I think is made in the Dominican Republic. I think the tobacco is from there. And I wanted to be able to compare it to the one from Cuba, and I got to say that I really didn't notice any difference. It's still a good cigar. I mean, I enjoyed the cigar, but I didn't notice it being tremendously different from any of the ones that I've had before. So that was my Cuban cigar experience. Maybe I'll try another one before we leave. And there are several others in the case down there that are all supposed to be Cuban cigars. So might try another one. How is your diet? Okay, health. I am trying and failing miserably, but I am trying not to overeat while I'm here. But my daughter-in-law's mother is a tremendous cook. Oh my Lord. And she is feeding me way more than I should ever be allowed to eat. And the restaurants have been fantastic. So I'm sure I'm eating more than I should. So got back that night. Tom is drinking a Corona. Good for you. And Dan Byer says, is Cuban C very little difference? Yeah, I really just did not notice a difference. And I think I've heard that now that you mentioned it. I think I've heard that they take the Cuban seeds and then grow them in the Dominican, either Dominican or Nicaragua. I can't remember now. How's the coffee? The coffee that I've had has been pretty much the same as we get back home, and it could be that I just haven't gone to any place that has been a really good coffee shop yet. I've got got a cup of gas station coffee yesterday, and mine cigars overrated. Like your pipe better. Dale, I have never tried a pipe, and I was telling my son this the other night. I said I've kind of always wanted to try that just to see. Hey, the Cowboy Casanova's here. How you doing? But always kind of wanted to try a pipe. I used to work with a guy, and I used to joke that I don't think he could breathe if he wasn't smoking his pipe. He was constantly smoking that thing. Dominican, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua. Thanks, Dan. But I used to joke and say that he couldn't breathe if he wasn't smoking his pipe. But he got his tobacco from somewhere special. I forget the story when Juan Valdez brought it on his donkeys, especially up to the guy that I worked with or some such. But it always smelled really nice when he smoked his pipe, and I always thought, I'd like to try that, but I just never have. I do have the occasional cigar. I am not. Coronavirus is still lingering, but getting there. Good. I'm glad to hear you're getting better. And I'm going to readjust this again just to it's bothering me there. Now I can sit a little bit closer, and it's not cutting off the top of my head so much. So anyway, got back here the other night, or no, I was talking about smoking the pipe, just never got around to doing that. But we got back here the other night and crashed, and then yesterday we decided we were going to travel to Lyon. Don't forget to, okay, I will try to not forget. No problem, 18 wins again. I try to say hi to everybody, and again, I'll apologize because if you weren't here when I said this before, I'm using my iPad, and on the iPad, when the messages or questions come through, they're on the screen for only it's probably 3 to 5 seconds, and then they fade away. Chris Champo, pipes are awesome, half and half. It's my brand. Grandpa smoked until 95. Cool. But I'm operating on the iPad, so if I miss your question or I don't respond to it or miss your comment, I apologize. I am not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to ignore anyone or exclude anyone from the conversation, but it's just very, very difficult for me to read those as they flash up and understand them and get a response back to you. So please forgive me if I don't respond to your comment. But yesterday we decided to travel to the city of Lyon. Now, I didn't realize it. Rich Powers is here. Howdy, Rich. And Lyon is about a 3-hour drive from here. And guess who was driving again in the gigantic vehicle? Grandpa smoked a cherry blend. Cool. And it seems like pipe tobacco has the aroma of pipe tobacco is very nice. Now there are some cigars that smell very nice too, and I'm not trying to exclude them, but there's something about pipe tobacco that always just has a really nice smell to it. Got to go cook. All right, Ben, you have a great time. Thanks for joining us tonight, and I will talk to you again when I get home. Jeff Tim is here. Glad you made it, Jeff. So we took off on the trip to Lyon. And by the way, the policia here set up checkpoints every so often and just randomly stop vehicles. So all along the way, and it seems like every place where there's road construction and traffic is funneled and slowed down, that's where they set up a checkpoint. And we haven't been stopped yet, but I don't know. I could see that happening sooner or later. I'm not too worried. It's not like we have anything in the vehicle that's illegal or anything like that. But, we're dealing with the checkpoints, going on the 3-hour drive, and we got to a stretch where we were on a toll road that went basically for miles and miles and miles across what's now a dry lake bed. There's a portion of it there where there's still water, but it's just, miles and miles of nothing, just flat, empty space. And people are cultivating it. Hurry back home, worry about you. We're doing okay. I mean, we're staying with family down here, and they're helping us negotiate the landscape and helping keep us out of trouble. So I'm not not too worried. But we're driving along on the highway all the way to Lyon, and we finally got there. It seemed like it took forever to get there. And of course, I'm driving the gigantic vehicle. There's people waving in and out. Eres Mexicano. No comprendo eres. Aromatic pipe blends are nice. English blends, however, will turn you off. They say. What? Sherlock Holmes' pipe didn't smell good when he was smoking it? I think you're exaggerating, Dale. Are you Mexican? No, I am not Mexican. I'm actually of German descent, but many, many generations in the U.S. My son is married to a woman who she is American, but her family is Mexican. So her family, I explained this a while ago, her mother and father have dual citizenship. They have a home in Ohio. They have a home down here. They have family in Chicago. So this has been great because we've been able to stay down here with my daughter-in-law's mother and father in their home. They're allowing us to stay with them. They're being such great hosts, tremendous hospitality. I said a little while ago, my mother-in-law is feeding me more than I should ever be allowed to eat, and it's just been wonderful. By the way, my son's father-in-law has introduced me to something called mezcal. And for any of you who don't know, tequila is made from agave, but there's a different type of agave that's used to make something called mezcal. And it's kind of interesting. I've had a little of it. If you saw the photo that I posted from last night, somebody talked about the smile that I had as I was sitting there at the table. Well, that was a mezcal-inspired smiles, if that tells you anything. But anyway, back to my story about Lyon. We traveled to Lyon, got there finally. Lyon is another very large city. And in the middle of Lyon is a huge, I don't know how to describe this. To say it's a market or a mall is not really accurate because it is street after street after street after street of mostly shops that are devoted to, leather goods, boots, belts, hats, clothing of all kinds. There's some more modern things or more contemporary things like, athletic wear and things like that. HR is eating the sauce. Other than my only about 1/3 gone Modelo Negro today, haven't had too much. No too mas. Anyway, so I started looking around, and I've been thinking about getting a pair of cowboy boots for a while. Now, when I was a kid, my family used to raise horses. In fact, we showed horses. So I had a lot of Western wear back in the day, cowboy boots, Western shirts, cowboy hats, things like that. 32 ounces. No, it's not 32 ounces. But I might have 32 ounces, which is I'll have a couple more. But anyway, but it's been a long time since I really wore anything like that. 1911 gun belt hat. And if you've seen the videos that I've done, wearing some of the stuff, I've got the one hat at home that I wear sometimes in the video. That's kind of a Western style that I really like, by the way. I wish I could have brought it with me, but I didn't, which is one of the reasons I wanted to get a hat down here. But, I kind of thought, I guess maybe I'm feeling like going back to my roots a little bit or something like that. I've been looking a little bit more at the Western stuff, wearing jeans a little more often. And I've been thinking for a while about getting some cowboy boots. I want a Western Boss Shore, Western White 1911. That would be nice. Look at El Paso Saddlery, because I'm sure they'll do it. It's not going to be cheap, but I'm sure they can do it. But, I've been thinking about getting some cowboy boots, and several weeks ago, my wife and I were in Nashville, Tennessee, which was a tremendous trip all on its own. But I was looking at cowboy boots in Nashville, and the only reason I didn't buy a pair there is because they were so darn expensive. And, you're looking $300-$400 for a pair of boots. Get some to fit and you'll enjoy them. That's my plan. But so I'm looking at all these different cowboy boots, and I came into the one shop, Cowboy Casino. We used to have 2 types of boots, one for everyday wear, one for when I was performing live. Fortunately, open mic, I'm sorry, it just faded away. I wear ankle boots. Wore Western boots was my daily footwear for years before my lower back went to hell. I believe me, Dale, I feel your pain. That's standard for a good boot, cowboy or combat or dress. By the way, Cowboy Casanova, oops, my little table here almost blew over. I've seen some of your videos you've done with the songs you've done, that you've recorded, and they're fun. The last one you had, and I cannot think of the name of it, had kind of that catchy chorus. It got stuck in my head, so for however long after that, I had that chorus running through my head. Biden flanting. You're going to have to translate that for me, I think. But, so anyway, I'm looking at all the different shops, looking at the cowboy boots, and for whatever reason, remember AK 1911 weapon for Mexican samurai. Okay. Pretty quickly, the different snake skins caught my Midland out of sight. Cool. The snake skins caught my attention. You know, they had some rattlesnake skin, which, if I understood them correctly, is supposed to be illegal here. Now, there was a bunch of them there. Rattlesnake skin is supposed to be illegal. That was kind of cool. I told you a samurai killed a conquistador in Mexico. Would you believe me? That's wacky enough to sound true. Tacticus Legion, need to get better arch support. Well, I'm getting to that part of the story, so stick with me here. So I'm looking at different boots. I like the snake skins. You know, they had all kinds of leather. They had some of them were made out of some sort of fish. I'm not sure what kind of fish it was, but you could see the large design or pattern or whatever from the fish skin scales. Thomas White's got the Dan Poston python. Cool. And I really like, they have the python skin boots there. And it comes, I guess, from the belly of the python. That's what gives it that color and that texture. You got a pair, sorry it faded away. Samurai was a glowy. Tried running Western boots for patrol, definitely acquired taste, I'll bet. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I could wear Western boots while I was working. I think that would probably just not work well, especially when I had to run. But I really like the python skin. And I got separated from my son. I'm going to throw this in here now because I'll come back around later in the story. So I'm basically by myself, of course, left to my own, limited Spanish and everything as I'm shopping. And I like these boots, and I, found the pair that fit and everything. And the first pair that I looked at were John Wayne, which interestingly is spelled Jhonn. Whayne, John Wayne. Anyway, I was looking at those, and they wanted 3,600 pesos for them, which comes to about $175, give or take. And I thought, okay, I want to keep looking just a little bit because this is the first place I've come into, and I just want to see, maybe I'll see another pair that I like, maybe I'll find the same pair a little less expensive or whatever. Ropers are good for duty. All right, cool. And I shopped around a little bit more, walked around, went into another place, saw essentially the exact same pair of boots, only they were not John Wayne, they were a different brand, and I cannot remember the brand name. It's not Durango, but it's something like that, Carango, something. I should have brought them up here so I could look at that. On the heel, it has the name printed. But like I said, the exact same pair, but python skin, same color, same everything, just a different brand name. Selling boots made in China, probably. And I asked the guy how much they were. 2,000 pesos, which is about $75. That was just over $100, like $108 when you do the math. But I said, all right, cool. And I bought the boots, and they offered me a python skin belt to match them. And I almost bought the belt, and I thought, now I'm going to hold off on the belt. Should have bought the belt. I also saw a rattlesnake skin hat, but I'd already bought this one, but it was really a cool hat. What's your cerveza? My cerveza is Negro Modelo. That's what I'm having. And I said a little while ago, I've never had these before. I don't think I ever had Modelo before. Western boots fine for duty if you believe in letting Colonel Colt handle your... but never had Modelo before. But this is probably the, I don't know, third, fourth, fifth that I've had, not today, but during the entire time we've been down here. And I really like it. It's a nice beer. if you get a pair made, it's 100% real leather, and you can take care of them, and they'll last you. Yeah, and I asked specifically about this python skin. I said, does it require, any oil? Does it require any wax, anything like that? And according to the guy that sold them to me, it doesn't require anything. This particular skin is very resilient. Don't have to do anything to keep it up. Sex of Life, what's up, buddy? Drinking Modelo's. Don't steal your. By the way, I posted that picture of my boots yesterday. I'll throw this in now. And the story that I put on there, if you haven't read it, go back and watch that. But I posted that I might have embellished a detail or two a little bit, or I might have made the whole thing up. But if you haven't seen that, go back and read it. And the responses that I've got have been hilarious. And Sex of Life posted a comment on here a little while ago. He put a comment on that post today. I was laughing so hard I had tears running down my face. That was so funny. So thank you for that. But now back to my previously said Southeast Los Angeles. Okay, all right. All right, Sex of Life, Southeast Los Angeles. Okay, got it. The story is fishy. I got the boots and I started to walk around, and I was wearing a fairly thin pair of socks. Now this was my mistake. I came down here with not a lot of heavy clothing because I was expecting it to be very warm. So I'm wearing a thin pair of socks, and the left boot might have a nail that's coming a little bit through the bottom, but after walking for a while, William Barnett, hello, enjoy vacation. Glad you snaked a nice pair of boots. But it was really starting to bother my left heel. So my first thought is, I need to get a thicker pair of socks. Now you would think somewhere that sells all kinds of boots, all kinds of shoes, zapatos of every shape and size would have socks everywhere. No. So I looked and looked and looked and looked. Finally found a pair of socks that was something like you're supposed to wear when you're playing football or soccer. And they were not real thick, but they were a little thicker than the ones I was wearing. Put those on, they were a little bit better. So I'm walking around, and I walked by this one place, and there was a guy selling leather insoles for 28 pesos, which is, somebody with a calculator take 28 and divide it by 18.5, and that's how many dollars it was. It's not much. Those leather insoles in those boots are worth their weight in gold. I could not believe how much more comfortable they were. So now my boots are muy bueno. Great, comfortable boots. Love them. I was wearing them earlier today. Took them off and put my athletic shoes back on because we were going to go for a walk, and partly I just didn't want to scuff the new boots or anything. But so that's the true boot story. But then we had to make the drive all the way back here from Leon. So we're back, highway, 3-hour drive through, no man's land, dry lake bed, all that. Got back here, back into the heavy traffic again, and of course, my daughter-in-law's father, who is a wonderful man, I love the guy to death, but when he's giving you directions, he's the type of person that waits till the last second and goes, oh, turn right here, as you're going by. And keep in mind, in the gigantic Suburban, just like driving a school bus, everything, trying to slide it sideways in the middle of the road to turn it into the incredibly narrow alley. So that's the way the drive went on the way back. But still had a great time. We got home that evening. This brings the story up to yesterday. Got up yesterday. We went back into downtown Morelia, and this time just my wife and I were walking. Now I forgot to tell you in the story, the very first night we were here, we took a little, it was a tourist tram, I guess. It was a little, like a trolley that took us around. Now this was not the best idea because of course the tour guide was speaking in Spanish, which we don't really understand. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Fortunately, my daughter-in-law was kind enough to help translate, as we were doing. So we were getting some of this, but part of the tour, we got out of the tram and we walked through something called the Alley of Love, which there's a story that goes with it. It was originally the Alley of Soap. I still don't understand why it was the Alley of Soap, but it was the Alley of Soap. There was a general that took his wife there, and the general renamed it the Alley of Love, and there's a fountain there. Beautiful alley, fountain. And as you walk down the alley, there are a couple of small restaurants. And we walked by one of them that there was somebody in there playing a piano. It was a beautiful piano. Of course, if you watch the videos, you know that I'm a sucker for piano because I listen to my daughter all the time. You know, beautiful, soft piano music playing, people drinking wine, getting Ron White by when you mentioned the trolley. People drinking wine. It's kind of dark. It's cozy on the Alley of Love. So I'm thinking, this is cool. I'd like to come back here. They walked us down through there. At the far end, there's this gigantic heart-shaped metal, I guess, sculpture is what I'll call it, for lack of a better term. Somebody says the stream crashed. I hope I'm still here. It's still showing live on my end, so I hope you're still with me. But we go walking down this thing. At the end, there's the big metal heart-shaped sculpture. Okay, good. And we got my picture taken with my wife. My son and his wife got their picture taken in front of it. My daughter-in-law's mother and father got their picture. So we all got our picture taken in front of the big heart-shaped sculpture. And got back in the little trolley. It goes back to downtown Morelia. And so yesterday, my wife and I were down there by myself. I said, hey, let's go back there and see if we can find that little restaurant and, have a drink, have a glass of wine, whatever. So we asked the waiter where it was, and he said it's a 10-minute walk down this street. Well, 20 minutes later, as we're walking down the street and hadn't found it yet, I thought, maybe we should ask somebody again. So we had just passed a park that we'd gone by when we were in the trolley, and past that, there was another waiter at an outside restaurant. So I stopped him. I'm going, Donde es La Tarasca, I believe is what it is called, or also Calle Amore for Alley of Love. And he's looking at me like an idiot, and I can't figure out why he's looking at me that way. And he said something, and I didn't understand it, and I kind of looked to my right, and there is the big heart-shaped sculpture, like 20 feet to my right, and he's thinking, yeah, you're an idiot. You obviously don't know where you are or anything. So anyway, found my way back to the Alley of Love, walked back down there, found a little restaurant. Your accent. Found a little restaurant, had a wonderful glass of wine with my wife, and she really liked the wine, and we could have bought a bottle, and now I wish we had, because she would like to have some to bring home. Be careful down there. And while we were there, this was cool. Fortunately, there's a tree behind me. Live TV, folks, you never know what's going to happen. So anyway, while we were there must have been like 3 wedding parties that came down the Alley of Love, and it was cool. The brides are in their beautiful wedding gowns, and the grooms were all dressed up. And no, it's actually an orange tree. This is an orange tree back here. And there were people. It must have been engagement photos that they were taking, because there were photographers down there, and the guys are holding their girlfriends up in the air, and the photographers getting all the photos and everything. So really, really cool while we were down there. Just a wonderful time, sort of exploring and wandering around with my wife and I. And between the two of us and, doing charades and the limited Spanish and all that, we managed to not get hopelessly lost, not get run over by any kind of vehicles. Nothing bad happened. We had a great time on our own. And then last night, Saturday night, in downtown Morelia, in that beautiful big park that I was talking about that's outside the Catedral, they have a light show with music playing, and we were eating at one of the outdoor seating areas from one of the restaurants around the park when we had one of the waiters actually take the photo that I posted earlier. Had a wonderful meal. Prior to that, while it was still daylight, there were people out there dancing and music and just absolutely phenomenal. I told my wife earlier today, this is without a doubt the most festive place I have ever been in my life. It's like a never-ending party. The party ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's more party, sometimes it's less party, but it's never no party. So just a wonderful trip. That pretty much brings us up to today, and we had probably the most difficult event of our entire trip today, because my daughter-in-law's mother had some keys made for their house today. Yesterday, while we were out yesterday, she had some new keys made, and she gave us one of the new keys. Now, everybody yell at me, you're supposed to check the new key before you start to rely on it. I know, didn't do it. Anyway, my son and daughter and her mother took off to a water park today. Her dad went to do some work at his other property. So it's my wife and daughter and I. And we decided to walk down to some of the local stores, get some of the local food and things like that. My wife wanted to get some spices, needed to get some more cervezas because you know how important that is. Anyway, we went out, had a nice walk, got some things, came back here, and tried to use our new key, which of course didn't work. So we're out there trying the key. 20 minutes later. Now, one bad thing down here is our cell phones do not work. Now, we checked with our cell phone carrier before we came down, and we were supposed to have service here, but we don't. When I have an internet connection, I can send text messages, but we can't call anybody. And if anybody tries to call me, my phone will ring, and as soon as I answer it, the call drops. So somehow or other, I still don't know how this happened, but we were standing outside of the casa where we're staying, and I was able to get internet connection and send text messages on my phone. And I was sending text messages to my son and to everybody else. We can't get in the house. We're locked out, this and that. And they're sending us messages back. Somehow or other, through, I think, a game on her phone, my daughter was able to talk to my daughter-in-law, and they're talking back and forth. They got a hold of my daughter-in-law's dad. He's talking back and forth. There was a next-door neighbor that came over to try to help us. Nobody can get the key open. Finally, there's more to this story. Doesn't matter. We got a 60-foot ladder, used it to climb up on the roof of the casa, which is where I am now, and I'll show you guys. I'll try to anyway. Had to climb up on the roof over here with the 60-foot ladder to gain access to the house. And this is the lower level down here. I don't know if you can see it. I can't see much on my iPad. But basically had to burgle our way back into the casa here. Otherwise, we'd still be standing out there and I wouldn't be doing the live stream. So that was our adventure for today. And that brings us up to now, where I'm sitting here talking to all of you, and I have been doing so for about an hour almost, and enjoying my well-earned Modelo. So with all of that, I'll try to answer any questions or respond to some comments, but that's pretty much the story, and I wanted to try to get it all in there rather than just responding to comments and questions and everything. Cheers. Thank you. But no, if any of you ever get a chance to come down here, particularly to Morelia, but even into this area, I know we get kind of a negative, I guess, opinion, negative image, whatever, of people from Mexico, all the people from Central America, because all we see are the issues at the border, and we know all the problems that are going on with the people streaming into the country, the potential dangers, if terrorists make it across, the economic strain that it puts on our you can stick with that story. The economic problems that causes for us, for our services, like police, fire, medical, all that, but sometimes it's easy to forget that there are really good people here, and one of the things that I've learned at B&E in Mexico, what's Mexico for B&E? um, it one thing that I've learned, in my travels, and I've been to Korea, I've been to Japan, I've been to the UK, I've been to France, I've been to Mexico, been to Canada, and what I've discovered is that people are really, just not politics, not regulations, rules, not cultures, but people are generally people everywhere. We're all pretty much the same, and it's nice to see that. And somebody asked about the weather. The weather's been great. We've had a couple of days where we've had some thunderstorms, and this is supposed to be the rainy season. And I was a little worried when I heard that, but we've had some rain. It's rained some at night. It's stormed a little bit during the day, but all in all, it's been pretty good weather. Japan's my dream destination. Holding out for a recruiter. Yeah, I did a year overseas tour. So I was in Japan, Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni for 6 months, and I arrived in Iwakuni and was no more than got off the plane until they threw me on another plane and sent me to live in a tent in Yecheon, Korea, for 6 months, which was another adventure for another day. Stayed there until August of 1988, tossed me onto another plane and back to Japan for the remaining 6 months. But yeah, I enjoy traveling internationally. I love learning about other places in the world, seeing other things. So that's always great. And just like I said, it kind of helps to remind us all that we really are all pretty much the same as far as human beings, individuals. Another thing I enjoy, although I'm horrible at it, is learning other languages. I can remember being in school. There's a good and a bad side to Tijuana, so I've heard. But I enjoy learning languages, and when I was in school, I can remember teachers, in English, talking about the importance of being able to communicate and all that. I hated English, hated it, hated it, hated it. Hated English, hated math. And if I could go back to school, I would take as much English and as much math and as much foreign language as I could, because now, at nearly 56 years old, I see the value of that. I see the importance of being able to communicate with our fellow human beings and express yourself, and even when speaking in English. And I work on this so hard in my videos to try to express myself in a way that sounds, intelligent. I try not to be overly formal, but I like to use good traditional English. I remember Rush Limbaugh saying one time that if you learn to properly and efficiently speak, read, and write the language, people will respect what you say because of the way you say it. And I found that to be true. You can look like a bag of rags, but if you sound like you know what you're talking about, keep this in mind with my videos. If you sound like you know what you're talking about, people will respect that. And like I said, I see the importance of being able to communicate at this point in my life. And like I said, I try with languages. I try with my limited Spanish. Shooters are a dime a dozen, and we need more effective communicators in the field. And and I'll tell you something. As a firearms instructor, when I was a senior firearms instructor from my department that I retired from, and I had to select an assistant instructor, I was looking for communication skills as much, if not more so, than I was somebody's shooting skills. Because you can teach people to shoot, and you can be the greatest shooter on the planet, but if you cannot communicate effectively to other people to teach them how to shoot, you're worthless as an instructor. And any of you who have been to any amount of firearms instruction particularly, but any instruction, have had people that are very good at conveying information, and you understand it and you can use it and you know how to do it. And then there are other people who are horrible. They may have a tremendous amount of education, but they can't give that to anyone else. So I don't know. I guess that's my philosophy lesson for the live stream. Cowboy Casanova, high school excelled in math, sucked in English. Have you come across a person that is untrainable? No. I feel like I can teach anyone to shoot if they want to learn. Now, if they don't want to learn, or if they don't care or whatever, then no, that's a losing battle. But if they want to learn, I feel like I can teach anyone to shoot. I always wanted to have someone that had a physical disability, that like maybe they were confined to a wheelchair, or maybe had limited use of one arm or something like that, to see if I could teach that person to shoot. Because like I said, I feel like I can teach anyone. Bought a '73 Winchester last Thursday. Extremely cool. Extremely cool. Just got another comment coming up here. And there it goes. Road trip to the Little Bighorn and Badlands. You know what? My wife is going to be in South Dakota in about 3 weeks. She and my daughter go out there every year, and this is a long story, probably something I'm going to abbreviate as much as I can. But they know a paleontologist out there. He takes them on digs for dinosaur bones, and this is in the western end of South Dakota. And I went with them one year, so that was a lot of fun. We saw the Badlands. We went to Devil's Tower one day. We went through Deadwood, South Dakota, so I got to see that. I wanted to stop, but we didn't have time. So another great part of the country. I don't know, I forget where I was in the story now. But anyway, I'm going to go back and try to get some questions here. I said that a while ago, and then I started rambling again and didn't get them. The boss is coming. Everybody say hi to Mimi.
Hello.
Say hola.
Hola.
Oh, I got to tell you a story about Mimi from last night. This is great. You guys remember remember the story I was telling you about the restaurant on the Alley of Love? So Mimi is trying so hard to speak Spanish, and she speaks even less than I do. Hold on. And we got
with a horrible, horrible accent.
We got done with our meal, which was I guess it was actually.
Sit on.
Can you bring a chair? You want this chair? You sit on the chair.
Go get a chair.
No, you sit on the chair. So anyway, we got our glass of wine and our snack on the Alley of Love, and Mimi wants to say good evening to the woman that was our waitress, who was a very nice woman. And so she's trying to get it right, and she says, "Buenos nachos," and I started laughing, and the woman started laughing, and I said, "You just told her good nachos."
Which I knew immediately. I knew that immediately.
And,
but she laughed, and then she said, "Good night."
Yes.
I said, "Yeah, it's good night." There we go.
Ah, somebody knows about Team Spirit Exchange. Buenos nachos. So that was Mimi's attempt at Espanol last night.
I need to get a T-shirt that says Buenos Nachos on it.
If you ever go back to Mexico, try Cancun and Puerto Vallarta, and the comment just went away. Sorry.
Yeah.
Doritos. Buenos Doritos.
Yeah, I had tears running down my face.
Today's non-firing replica really is a non-firing replica because it's I don't have my music, it's my Swiss Army knife. That's what I'm relying on while we're down here. Lost Winnebago. Doberman got your first M1, good for you. Once a Marine, never forgets how to take an E. Now there's seeing real Mexico. It is real Mexico. It's been a wonderful time. Do you have anything you want to throw in about our trip? I've been talking nonstop since I came up here, talking about all of our adventures and misadventures and everything.
No, I've had a lot of fun. And I speak horrible Spanish, horrible accent, but we never, we can always use some sort of a sign language or,
Charades.
Yeah, they use a calculator to tell me how much, and so we've had fun. the people here love it when you're trying to speak Spanish. So they love it. They'll help you. And there's a doctor that lives in the same building but next door, and it's a big house.
She was helping us try to break in earlier.
Well, SOS said Google Translate on the phone, except for most of my time my phone is dead. So, but she was teaching me Spanish and pronunciation, and I just do not pick up languages well. So, but she's been fun. And then her son and I were playing basketball in the courtyard.
It's got something to do with learning English in South Carolina.
No, we's educated they. So, and all our interpreters were gone today. So
Yes. We were left
we
to our
had
own
to
devices.
say, I had to somehow say, my Howard and Samantha are around the corner, and we need to get a ladder and climb up. And all of that happened. We got the ladder, and then a young man came out of the pollo shop on the corner,
Pollo. Yeah.
which is the chicken shop, and he climbed up the ladder, lickety-split, and
I think we shared the ladder story with him. Medella.
oh, did you tell him about that?
Yeah, I told him the story about climbing up the ladder.
Yeah,
and all that.
he zoomed up the ladder, ran down the steps.
Any plans to return?
Oh, of course.
I think we'll be back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My stepson's in-laws, we're living in her grandmother's house. We're staying in her grandmother's house, so her parents are here, and so we've had a big.
I saw
time.
that about the Berettas.
Yeah, we've had a big time with them. I think they've had a big time with us.
Yeah,
So.
it's been a wonderful trip. So,
Yeah, we have to fly. What's today? Sunday? Oh, we got a whole other day.
Yep.
More shopping to do.
We got tomorrow, and then we'll. If you hear that noise, that's traffic going by. We.
Oh, and I've driven in the traffic here, so has Howard, but it's a whole vibe. It's a whole vibe.
And we're driving the biggest vehicle ever manufactured.
Yep. And so the rules here are: it's okay to hit the motorcyclists. It's definitely okay to hit pedestrians, and it's certainly okay to run over bicyclists. So.
Oh yeah, and traffic signs are suggestive at best.
And so are lane markings. So.
Speed limits.
When you have a big vehicle like we're driving, you win the traffic disagreements.
Kind of.
No, you do.
Oh, that reminds me. Somebody asked about the firearms we've seen down here. The Policia that I've seen have been carrying Glocks mostly, although I saw someone yesterday with a SIG 226. Howard's taking books. We've also seen some M4s. Quite a few of the police officers down here are carrying M4s or M16s.
Might makes right. That's right, brother.
The National Guard drives around on patrol, and they actually went by with a truck yesterday that had an M60 mounted with somebody behind the M60. I'm not sure who they were waiting to machine gun, but whoever it was, they were ready to do it.
And at that point, I began thinking of volunteering in that force.
But yeah, they definitely present a formidable image to anyone that sees them out here. You must hate Mexico. What are you carrying? Only my Swiss Army knife. That's the only thing I have with me.
Well, it's been 68 minutes, and I know you guys love him, but I'm ready to have some time with him now.
Uh-oh.
So.
Not sure what that means. About COVID mania, what's like that? Not. There are some
masks
places,
on the airplanes because it's run by the Mexican government. Mask in the airport. Mask in some stores, but like some of the smaller shops don't care if you're wearing a mask. And this morning at 12:01 a.m., I just got called a party
I
pooper.
saw that. You're good.
You can kiss my ever-loved. This morning at 12:01 a.m. 12:01 a.m. Biden dropped the COVID test to get back into the country, so we don't even have to do that.
Nope.
So.
All right, this has been fantastic, everybody. This thing will be up for replays, and hopefully I can watch it later on and actually see all the comments. I am sorry, I am so sorry if I missed any comments, any questions. Like I said, it only comes up for a few seconds on my iPad. But like I said, this has just been a tremendous trip. I wanted to share it with as many of you as I could. So I'll probably do another when we get back and let you know if there are any more adventures between now and then. We'll be back sometime on Wednesday. So,
Well, we'll be back in the States on Tuesday evening,
yes.
and then back home Wednesday about midday. No, we did not have to get tested to get back in. Now, as of 12:01 a.m.
Semper Fi, and that is Gunny Turner right there. So Semper Fi, Gunny. All right, everybody, it's been great. I'll talk to you later. Probably will not be a Wednesday video because I haven't been around to make one. So hopefully have a video up on Saturday. But until the next time, good shooting, everybody.
Then on the toilet till Thursday.
And good night.